What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Shout out to Malachi for coming out and getting this drone coverage for me of the Supreme 18 at Jones Park. I am very excited to watch the MPO and FPO come out and battle this monster of a course at the Dynamic Discs Open later on this week. Let's just hop right into this and get going. Hole number one, we're starting out with an island hole, 291 feet. You can lay up short of the creek that you see up here. However, I would recommend just going for this postage stamp green because as soon as you start laying up, you bring 5 into play, and it's a relatively easy up and down from the drop zone if you don't happen to find yourself on the green. Hole number 2 is 888 feet, or 1087 for the MPOs, and it is a par 5 for both divisions. As the drone flies here, it's kind of flying down that left side out of bounds. You see the green box up here just on the left side. That's about where the OB kind of starts to turn left and head up between these trees on the left side, kind of opening it up a little bit more for your second, maybe even third shot into this green. Off to the right, you see the FPO pin there. You got road all down the left side. Nothing to worry about long. It is a beast of a par 5 to get you around early. Hole number 3 is 557 feet for the FPOs and 654 feet for the MPOs. It is a huge water carry, around 440 feet. There is a layup zone on the left side if you don't feel comfortable going for it, or if you have a Kansas headwind in your face. If you do have a big arm, this hole should be relatively easy to get up and down for your birdie. Hole number 4, 615 feet or 668 feet, depending on what division you're playing. It is a par 4. It plays up this hill. The FPO pin is kind of just a dead straight line, and the MPOs is kind of off to the left a little bit. This big tree you kind of see center screen is right about where the OB line starts to turn left. The drone is kind of flying up the OB, so we're kind of sitting out of bounds right now. Where you see the cedar on the left is out of bounds, and the OB does wrap around the back side of that cedar, just beyond the basket. Hole number 5, 385 feet, par 3. There's a couple different options for this hole. This birch tree that you kind of see in the middle, you can either go left or right of it, depending if you're going forehand, backhand, lefty, righty, whatever the case may be. This is a relatively easy hole, so you're probably going to want to make sure and give yourself a look for birdie, moving into what will be a pretty challenging par 3. Here we are, hole number 6, 315 feet. This basket will be elevated at the Dynamic Discs Open. It's about a 90% water carry. A little bit uphill, but really not too bad. There will be an OB line long, quite a ways long though, so if you do miss on this hole, play it long. You can also lay up to the right side as well. Hole number 7 is a par 4, 704 feet. A little bit of a ditch OB kind of right in this area. A good spot landing location is right here where the drone is. Kind of a flatter spot and give you an option on going forehand kind of over this park road, or a nice little hyzer around the cedar here on the right side. Not a whole lot of trouble on this hole as long as you have a clean tee shot. Hole number 8, one of my favorites on the course. It's going to be a long, probably a lot of rollers on this hole. 537 for the FPO, 724 for the MPO. Got OB down the right side on the back side of the cedar trees, and the cable wire on the left is out of bounds. These two trees that we're flying under now is kind of a good landing zone for the long pin. For me, I personally like to go mid-range on this hole, or Emac truth, and then have yourself a nice look for birdie. These cedars are going to act as bunkers right by the green. Hole number 9 is a par 3, 371 feet for the FPOs and 423 for the MPOs. Pretty straightforward shot here, not a whole lot of out of bounds. There's the FPO pin on the left, MPOs up here kind of tucked in this group of cedars on the right. Going to be a birdie you're going to want to get. Hole number 10 is a par 4, 682 feet and 833 feet. This hole is tough. This is going to be a very, very tough birdie. Placement shots are going to be key on this. There is OB left. There's OB right along these cedars. That big tree that we just passed is kind of your landing zone before going up this long, somewhat of a Kansas tunnel, as I like to call it. You got FPO pin right here on the right. Not a lot of trouble as far as OB when you get closer to the green, with the exception of the wire that's long, but it really shouldn't come into play. Hole number 11, par 3, a very long, tight par 3, 395 feet for the FPOs, 493 feet for the MPOs. Not a lot of danger. There is an OB line on the right side that meets up with the road. You got a road on the left as well. There's your FPO pin. MPO pin, I will say, kind of the green grass on the left side. There's a little ditch there you can kind of make out. There will be an OB line right there, relatively close, so make sure you finish right of this pin. Hole number 12, uphill, par 3, 280 feet, 302 feet. It is an island hole. Not super small of an island. It's pretty easy to access. You do have a big cedar on the left if you're playing the FPO pin that if you go flying chain high past, you could find yourself into it. MPO pin sets up on the right side, kind of on the hill. A lot of forehands probably into this green, kind of hoping to avoid these three cedars on the left. And that OB line on the right comes up pretty quick, so make sure you're careful with that. Hole 13, quite the opposite of the hole before. It's a par 3/4, 466 feet. What a fun shot this is. Big downhill shot. Nobody should have any issues with this water right here below us as long as you hit your line. It's going to be one of those tricky ones to get because as you get closer to the green, it gets a little bit tighter, and there is OB lurking relatively close behind the basket, probably around 20 feet past. So if you're going to miss this one, you want to miss on the left. Hole number 14 is a par 4, 504 feet for the FPOs, 695 feet for the MPOs. This is the MPO tee pad. FPO pad is off to the right. That is why you see two T signs on this hole. Creek right there is out of bounds. This is a good landing zone right in this area for the MPOs. FPO's landing zone is about right in here. As usual, this creek here that we're flying over is out of bounds, so make sure that you have a nice open gap on your second shot into this green. Hole 15, par 3, 325 feet, 396, uphill. Nice straight little tunnel. Kind of got some baby trees growing in. Hopefully we can get them to survive. I think we're going to see a lot of MPO players, potentially if you have that big arm, playing right side of this tree and getting a skip down to this green. However, there's your FPO pin. However, this green does slope from right to left, and it slopes right at the water. So you could see some rollaways on this, so make sure you're close or confident in your shots. Hole 16 is a par 4/5, 827 feet. All the tall grass you see is out of bounds. Good landing zone is anywhere from this flagpole to this second tee pad that you can see right here, an older tee pad. It's actually a tee pad for one of the shorter courses that we have. And then, of course, as always, all of this tall grass on the left is out of bounds. There is a landing strip all down the right side with the trees that is inbounds into this nice looking green. If your tee shot is the most critical on this hole. If you're in position to attack. If not, there's no shame in laying up and taking a par with 2 more holes to go. Hole number 17, 570 feet and 710 feet, both par 4s. This hole plays quite a bit uphill. We did lose a really big tree. It was dead. Unfortunately, they took it out, but it opened up the gap for us. All this tall grass is out of bounds. Good landing zone on this is kind of off to the left side for the FPOs, and more straight right, kind of closer to this parking lot for the MPOs. FPO pin is there on your left side. There's an OB line on the right that kind of follows around this green sculpture, and it kind of cuts off to the right over by that tall grass. And as usual, this green does kind of have a little cutout where everything is inbounds or out of bounds. If you have a look at 3 on this, well played. Moving into hole 18, par 4 for everyone, 701 feet for the FPO, 789 for the MPOs. FPO tee pad is off to the left. This is the MPO pad. Throwing through this gap, missed this cedar, missed the cedar on the right as well. Don't think that that'll be a problem. The FPO pad kind of plays more of a longer straight hole where they have more room to bend it out to the left, where the MPO pad is just a full-on probably 520 downhill to the perfect landing zone. The pole you see over there on the right is a Mando, and that creek line is out of bounds. Anything in this area here is going to give you a look at the gap. The gap is relatively small, and as I mentioned, the creek is out of bounds as well. You're going to want to make sure you're in the sweet spot. There is a shot up over the top if you're feeling it. However, it's Kansas. Let's not forget that. The wind could be up, could be forcing you to throw up the middle through this gap. The basket plays up this little hill, kind of sets on a little mound. A little bit of a mound, not really, but there it is. There's the basket. You got a nice bleachers there behind it for the spectators. Basket OB, probably about a circle's edge behind it. So there it is, guys. There is the Supreme 18 at Jones Park. I am beyond excited, as I mentioned earlier, for watching the players come out and dominate this course. Thank you once again to Malachi for coming out and filming this for me. You know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.